Star Wars 7x7 episode 2043. Today, it's The Wrong Jedi. It is a Clone Wars briefing on the final episode of Season 5 of the Clone Wars and part of our look at the Clone Wars prior to the debut of Season 7 on Disney Plus coming later this month. Punch it! Hey Rebel Rouser, I'm Alan Voivod and this is Star Wars 7x7. Thank you so much for joining me for this episode. So here we are with The Wrong Jedi. Yes, another title inspired by a Hitchcock movie. The Wrong Man is a movie which featured Henry Fonda in the title role. And the only thing this has in common with the Clone Wars episode is that the title is inspired by the movie and Henry Fonda is accused of committing a crime that he did not commit, just as Ahsoka Tano is accused of committing a crime that she did not commit. Actually, multiple crimes, in fact. I don't think anyone is actually saying that she committed the Jedi Temple bombing that we've been talking about, but they are certainly saying that she conspired to make that happen. And then, of course, there's the murder of all the clone troopers at the Republic prison, so yeah, messy stuff. And it gets messier because the episode begins with Tarkin wanting Ahsoka to be tried by the Republic and not by the Jedi Order. And the Jedi Council has a discussion about this and unhappily makes the decision that if they keep her and they disobey the will of Tarkin and the Republic, that it could be seen as a move against the Senate, and politically that just doesn't work for them, so they have to expel Ahsoka from the Jedi Order and turn her over to Republic military custody for a trial. And did I mention that this is a full spoiler briefing? This is a full spoiler briefing, so there you go. So Ahsoka asks for Padme to represent her at the trial, and as the trial goes on, Anakin decides to investigate further. He ends up running into Asajj Ventress. For some reason, Barriss Offee is not mentioned by Ahsoka. It's only that, Asajj Ventress says something about it, that anything comes up with that. And Anakin is able to subdue Asajj pretty easily, comparatively speaking, because she doesn't have her lightsabers anymore, but guess who does? None other than Barriss Offee. Yes, indeed, she is the culprit behind this whole situation, and Anakin is able to get the truth out of her and has a wonderful bit of lightsaber combat with her while the niceties of the trial are happening. Ultimately manages to subdue Barriss and bring her to the trial just in time because Ahsoka is just about to be convicted and Tarkin is asking for the death penalty, no less. But Anakin delivers Barriss and encourages her to tell the truth, which she does. The speech that she makes to the tribunal, there's something that I thought was rather remarkable about it. I mean, just the whole thing is remarkable, and it doesn't take very long, so I'm going to share it with you. So here is Barriss Offee's confession from The Wrong Jedi.
I did it because I have come to realize what many people in the Republic have come to realize. That the Jedi are the ones responsible for this war. That we've so lost our way that we have become villains in this conflict. That we are the ones that should be put on trial. All of us! And my attack on the temple was an attack on what the Jedi have become. An army fighting for the dark side, fallen from the light that we once held so dear. This Republic is failing! It's only a matter of time.
Take her away.
And that's Chancellor Palpatine you hear saying, "Take her away," at the end of that. Voiced by Tim Curry for the first time in the Clone Wars because Ian Abercrombie, who had previously done the voice for Palpatine on the show, passed away, unfortunately, in January 2012. So this is Tim Curry coming to the role. Now, here's the thing that I find remarkable about Barriss's speech. She's not wrong. I mean, she's not wrong. She's correctly identified what the problem is, and yet her own actions have brought her to the dark side. I mean, at some point she says during the fight with Anakin about, those lightsabers, she says, "I think these suit me fine." So she's going over, but in a different way and for a different reason. But certainly, of course, she's wrong about bombing the Jedi Temple or orchestrating that plot. to bring attention to the situation. I mean, really, like that, yeah. We're Monday morning quarterbacking it in a way, or at least I am, because I know how it's all going to turn out, and so do you, that it's going to fail anyway. So it's a bit of a bummer that had to happen, because it didn't have to happen, and maybe some of those Jedi that died in the bombing might have been able to escape and survive Order 66, and to say nothing about the innocents that were killed, as in the non-Jedi that were killed in the midst of all of this. So, yeah, what a difficult situation, to say the least. And also, what a difficult situation for viewers. I mean, this is beyond. Like, this is definitely no longer a kid's cartoon. This is all some serious adult machination kind of stuff happening. So, man, they really dug into it deeply. It's some pretty heavy stuff. And just when you think that everything is going to be made right again with Ahsoka, they save the worst blow for last, and I'm going to talk about that after the break. Stay tuned. Hey Rebel Rouser, I've made some changes to the asteroid belt level at patreon.com/SW7X7, and they are all with sponsors in mind. So if you want to get the word out about your business, your product, your service to a dedicated Star Wars audience, then please check out patreon.com/SW7X7 and look for the asteroid belt level for details. Again, that's patreon.com/SW7X7. Welcome back. So, the scene at the end of the episode features Ahsoka at the Jedi Temple in the Jedi Council chambers, and there are multiple members of the council there who are praising Ahsoka for the way that she comported herself through this whole thing. And Mace Windu actually says that we're going to treat this as the trials. Like, you've been through a great trial. You have conducted yourself the way a Jedi Knight would. So the way that they are having this discussion with her makes it sound like that they are going to welcome her back into the Order. And Yoda says, you may come back into the Order, which I wish he had been a little bit more enthusiastic about it, but it's not Yoda and other things have to happen. The point is that really what is happening, at least my read of this, is that they are inviting her to come back and saying that we are ready to promote you from the status of Jedi Padawan to Jedi Knight. And that's my read of it, even though Anakin steps forward and offers her the Padawan braid that was taken from her at the beginning of the episode when she was cast out of the Jedi Order and given over to the Republic military. I know he's giving her the Padawan braid, but I think that's more of a gesture of, hey, I held on to this, it mattered, you mattered, please come back. Like, that's how I read it, not as a, come back as a Padawan situation. I think she's being offered the opportunity to come back as a knight. And she doesn't take it. She doesn't take it at any level. She takes Anakin's hand and closes it up over the Padawan braid and says, sorry, master, I'm not coming back, and leaves. And there are a couple of very beautiful moments before we shift to the outdoors where Anakin is following Ahsoka outside. Anakin takes steps to go forward, and the camera view, as it were, because it's animation, but you get what I mean. The camera view is from Yoda's level, and he watches him go and is, very contemplative about it, as he usually is. But then, as you see Anakin getting near the door, the shot goes to from behind the members of the council that are there. And if you watch carefully, you see Obi-Wan Kenobi taking a step toward this situation, and Plo Koon puts a hand on his shoulder and holds him back. And I just thought that was an incredible moment, and on the one hand, almost an unnecessary moment, and I mean that not in any sort of critical way. The way I mean it is that, it's animation. Like, you wouldn't have to bother. You would think that, no, we don't need to, go to the effort to, make that additional thing happen. But they did, and I'm so happy they did. It's just such a beautiful little thing that they did, a little emotional moment for Plo Koon and Obi-Wan, and it's a blink and you'd miss it thing, because you're not paying attention to them, you're watching Anakin walk out the door after Ahsoka. And then there's the other thing, where Anakin, when he catches up with her, says that, he's had some difficulty with considering the idea of staying with the Jedi Order, and she says, I know. And that I know when you say I know in Star Wars, it usually is carrying a little bit more weight than just the simple I know. And so immediately my mind goes to, is it possible that Ahsoka has any sense of what's going on with Anakin and Padme? I mean, my gut reaction says, of course, she must know, right? There has to be some idea. Somebody has to know. Somebody has to not be blind to the situation. But that's as much as is said about it, and I wonder if this is going to come up again in 6 or 7. Well, we'll find out soon enough either way, but that is going to do it for our look at the Wrong Jedi, and that's going to do it for this episode as well. Thank you so much for joining me for it as always, and may the Force be with you wherever in the galaxy you may be.
Star Wars 7x7 is not endorsed or sponsored yet by Lucasfilm Limited, Disney, or 20th Century Fox, and is intended for entertainment and information purposes only. Star Wars, the Star Wars logo, all names and pictures of Star Wars characters, vehicles, and any other Star Wars-related items are registered trademarks and/or copyrights of Lucasfilm Limited or their respective trademark and copyright holders. May the Force be with them. All original content is copyright 2020 by Star Wars 7x7. We hope you love it.